Hi guys, welcome back to the desktop for another rules breakdown, and this time I'm going to be doing Call of Cthulhu. Now this is the 3rd edition, this is the version released by Games Workshop in 1986, but Call of Cthulhu uses the basic roleplay system, which hasn't really changed since 1978 when it was first released. So basically, if you're playing Call of Cthulhu 1st edition up to 7th edition, the rules aren't going to be massively different. There's some changes in character creation. In the later editions, you get far more skill points on character creation, but the actual rules themselves for play haven't changed. Now, skills in basic role-playing in Call of Cthulhu are really simple. In fact, the entire rule system's pretty easy, so this video is not going to be the longest. If we flick open the rulebook and go to page 15, we can see we've got a sample character here, Harvey Walters, Mystic. And he's got his statistics here, and he's got his investigator skills here. There are a lot of skills in Call of Cthulhu. Now, everybody has a certain chance of certain skills. So everybody has a 25% chance of camouflage. Everybody starts with that. 40% chance of climbing. 15% of credit rating. 10% accounting. But you've got your skills on top of that. So Harvey here has archaeology at 50. And if he rolls his percentile dice against that and gets 41, he succeeds. And that's as simple as the skills are. You have a percentile chance of succeeding, you roll a percentile dice against them, and you succeed or fail. The other type of test you might be involved in is a statistic test. So let's say Harvey is struggling against somebody, he's got a strength 4, somebody else has a strength of 9, let's say. They're trying to grab something out of his hand. Now they've got a strength 9, and he's got a strength of 4, so they have a 75% chance of success. We look at the resistance table here, active characteristics of the person who's trying to do something, and then the passive characteristic, the person who's trying to resist. So a 75% chance of struggling something out of his hands. They roll a 29, and they succeed. And that's as simple as tests are in Call of Cthulhu. Now, initiative in Call of Cthulhu is dexterity-based. If we flip back to Harvey here, you can see he has a dexterity of 12. So he goes before people with dexterities lower than that, but after people with dexterities higher. And it's as simple as that. But within those, people with the same dexterity go in sequence of people with readied firearms, melee and unreadied firearms, and then second actions. So if you have a pistol which fires, let's say, 3 times, and you've got it ready, then you'll go on your dexterity in 12 before anybody else. Then you will go a second time after people with melee and unreadied weapons. And then you will go in half your dexterity. That will be your 3 actions, being able to pop a few shots off. And that's as simple as initiative is. Dexterity order, highest to lowest, readied guns, melee weapons, second actions, third actions. Now, Call of Cthulhu is not a heavy combat-based system, so combat's pretty much as simple as using a skill. However, most characters won't actually have any combat skills. You'll be using the base for their type of attack. So if you flick over here, we can see we have bases for melee weapons. So if somebody's trying to kick, they have a 25% chance of success. If they're trying to punch, they've got a 50% chance of success. We flick over another page to firearms here. We can see we've got handguns, which have a 20% chance. And rifles, a 10% chance. Shotguns, 30% chance. They've got various ranges. If you're outside the base range, then your skill is halved. But basically you're working on that, plus any bonus you've got if you do have any combat skill. And then you're rolling. So 50%, and Harvey using a handgun misses. Now in melee combat you can attempt to parry, or you can try and dodge a firearms attack at the expense of all your other actions that round. And they use your dodge skill. So let's have a look at Harvey and see if he has a dodge skill. Yes, he does, which is his dex times 2. So his dexterity is 12, so he has a dodge of 24. So if he's shot at and he doesn't want to be hit, and he's not wanting to take any other actions, we roll 57, his dodge fails. And that's as simple as combat is. You've got a percentage chance to hit, you can dodge at the expense of all other actions, which will make people miss, but there's nothing else really fancy to it. As for damage, if we go back to those firearms tables, we can see each of them has a dice type. So a handgun tends to do 1d6, although you've got larger ones which do 1d8. We've got large revolvers here which do 1d10 plus 2. Rifles 2d6 plus 3. Shotguns 2d6. We've got various melee attacks here, so a punch will only do 1d3, a wood axe will do 1d8 plus 2. And it's based on what kind of attack you're doing when you hit, and you just roll the dice type for your damage. So the wood axe was 1d8 plus 2, so 7 points of damage. And your health. Again, really basic, really simple. You have a certain amount of hit points. You take off those hit points. And that's as simple as it is. You take damage, you lose hit points. They can be healed back by resting, or you can do first aid rolls. First aid roll, if successful, will heal 1d3 damage. So the same as a punch. It's not a game of fast healing. You're in the 1920s. It's not like you can be in Shadowrun and call for Dockwagon. You're just bandaging somebody up and hoping for the best. Advancement in Call of Cthulhu works differently to most other games I've experienced, and I really quite like it. There's no such thing as experience points. It's all based on what you did in play. You see, you notice these boxes next to each of the skills. That's for you to mark off with when your Games Master tells you you're allowed to. And it's for a success or doing something remarkable for that skill. So Harvey here. During the adventure, he was driving a car and he drove erratically to avoid being shot at, and he succeeded. So the Games Master told him to tick off that. So now, after play, we look at all the ticked off skills and we roll percentile dice against them. So his drive automobile is only base of 20. We roll and we get 34, which is over it. So that advances. So now we roll 1d6, we get a 6, and his drive automobile is now 26. He has advanced by that many percentage points. And that's how it works. You roll each skill that you succeeded on, that you used well during play, and those advance. You've got a lesser chance of succeeding. So let's say his read-write English is 80. We roll and we get 29. He failed. That does not advance this adventure. And it's possible for very low skills. So let's say he managed to roll a 4 on his sing, but he'd done some singing during the adventure. Then that wouldn't advance either. It's you roll on the skills you did something with during each adventure and have been ticked off at the permission of your Games Master, the Keeper in Call of Cthulhu, and then those advance when you roll over them by 1d6. And that's how advancement works. And that is a very brief rundown of the rules in Call of Cthulhu. Obviously, I've missed out the Insanity system because that's a massive part of Call of Cthulhu. That's probably far more important than combat. When you see unsettling things, you take sanity tests, you make a percentage roll to see whether you preserve your sanity. If you fail, you lose some points of it and slowly slip down the slippery slide into being a gibbering maniac. And that's a wonderful part of Call of Cthulhu. There is no old school revival of Call of Cthulhu. Like with Dungeons & Dragons, where people look back to 1st and 2nd edition and love them and play them again, wanting the simplicity of the rules back at that time. Call of Cthulhu, as I said, hasn't changed since 1978. So there's no need to have an old school revival. You pick up 7th edition and the rules are pretty much the same. You can't ask more than that. It's an old school RPG, it's a whole load of fun, and I highly recommend giving it a go. Hopefully this has been a bit of a guide and will be somewhat use to you, but that's all I've got to say on it. As always, thank you very, very much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like what I'm doing, but most of all, you look after yourselves. And I'll catch you later. Bye now.